Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Welcome to the Hollywood Casino Press Box with your host, Frank Cusimano.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial ran first! On his way to second with a double!
The best interviews and the most informed insight.
And that's McGaffey breaking free, has a seam and a crease. The kicker can't trip him up. Headed for the end zone. Will it be back-to-back weeks? Yes!
All tied together with the experience of over 20 years of local broadcasting excellence in St. Louis.
Now Stasny gets away from a check to Fabry. Wide open. Brower! Rebound! He scores! Troy Brower! The former Blackhawk has given the Blues a 3-2 lead.
Now, here is Frank Cusimano on 590 The Fan, 105.7 HD2 FM, and InsideSTL.com.
Good morning and welcome. Hollywood Casino Press Box on the all-new 590 The Fan. We're broadcasting today from Norwood Hills Country Club. It's the site of one of the best golf tournaments our area puts on every year. It's the Metropolitan Amateur. We have a really good guest list today. Andy Moeller, executive sports producer at KSDK. He's been in an edit booth for about 5 straight days working on the Kurt Warner special on Channel 5. It will air at 6:30 tonight. Missouri basketball coach Conzo Martin, back from a summer of recruiting, will join us at 11:20. We'll talk about how he does his craft. And then at 11:40, we're going to be joined by the one and only Jim Thomas. He's in Ohio. He's covering Kurt Warner in the Hall of Fame. And he also, I think, is at the Cleveland Browns training camp because there is a St. Louis angle there. If you'd like to be a part of the program, you can do so. Winning Streak listener line, 855-282-8255. Lion's Choice text line, that same number, 855-282-8255. Rankin Jordan is one of our loyal sponsors. They are the innovative leaders in physical medicine and rehabilitation. Our opening monologue is brought to you by Gateway Motorsports Park, and let's begin with lap 1. Well, you have to admire the man. Right smack dab in the middle of a little drama, Yadier Molina has his first 2-home-run game since May 14th. Let's take a listen.
The 1-1 lifted in the air out to deep right center field. This may go. Gone! Molina into right center. And the Cardinals go on top 2-1. And Yadi jumps on this pitch. Deep left field. It may go, and it's gone. Long home run, Yadier Molina.
He saved 2 runs behind the plate, too. You guys on third base. And lets Luke go ahead and be aggressive and try and throw a nasty breaking ball. And he keeps the guy standing on third base. Those big shutdown innings are happened by Yadi being smart and working around the zone when he needed to. And trusting Luke's stuff, but offensively, just a huge day for us.
2 homers and a double. When did Yadier Molina turn into Ted Simmons? Wow. Maybe he plays better pissed off. The story is probably fading. But what happens the next time Carson Kelly starts? In fact, Brian, you may want to check that lineup. This would probably be a day he would, but with Molina being so great last night, day game after night game, I don't know. I don't think Matheny can bench him today. How does Yadi respond the next time he does have to sit? I know Mike Matheny will never, ever mention he thinks Yadi may be a little tired. He definitely won't say it or allude to it again for the rest of his life. He won't come close to hinting at it either. Yesterday, Benji Molina was a part of the Hollywood Casino Press Box, and he did what all brothers should do and have their brothers back.
Well, my reaction is who said it first. I mean, if Yadi got mad, I think it's because Mike went to the paper, or even if the guy on the paper did it wrong, the guy in the paper assumed that he said tired. That's the start right there. So Yadi didn't start anything, for what I'm aware of. He didn't start anything. He's just responding to what was said.
But
so in this case,
yeah,
you can't question Yadi, because if Martini doesn't say what he said in the paper, I guess. I don't know what it was said too much, but if he doesn't say what it was said, then Yadi doesn't post anything.
Now, it doesn't matter if you agree in this situation. I mean, I would defend my brother. That's if I want to continue to eat veal marsala at Kimos. Lap 2. I am not a gambling man. Basically, 2 instances in my life that I've ever really bet. One was 2 years ago in Las Vegas, where I had the presence of mind to basically bet my 3 kids, Monique, my house, and everything I own against Mizzou basketball against Arizona. All I can say is we ate well that night. And then in college, I won my first week betting on the NFL. Made $100, which was crazy, like for a 19-year-old back then. I bought a tweed sport coat from Leonard Barron, and I thought, man, this gambling's easy. I know more about sports than anybody. I'm going to do it every week. 2 weeks later, I was down $300, and my dad says, I'm paying this off, but you're not betting again. But now you've heard on the Hollywood Casino Press Box over the last year the Cusimano guarantees. I think we're at 7 for 7. Guys have actually bought cars from Bomarito from listening closely to my gambling advice. Now, I haven't bet on it myself, but I've given you the advice. Then yesterday, well, we had this little conversation on the show about Luke Weaver.
Can I bet both of you guys a milkshake that Luke gives up at least one long ball?
I don't want to bet.
Want that bet?
I don't want to bet against.
Yeah,
that.
I'm not betting against that either.
I think that's probably a
Safe
decent
bet.
Yes, I work with some very smart people. They agreed. And Luke did give up a homer, but that's all he gave up. That's all he gave up in his last start, too. This guy's pretty good. Throws a bunch of pitches for strikes, touched 95, maybe 96, throws hard enough, athletic as heck, really competes. He was just down in the zone all night long. All night long. Thoughts on Luke Weaver? Thoughts on Yadier Molina? Come on aboard. Winning Streak listener line, 855-282-8255. Lions Choice text line, that same number. Lap 3. So here are the Cardinals on August 3rd, and they're like Brendan at his prom, just kind of hanging around. Couldn't get a date, so he just kind of hung around. The starting rotation in 2 years, what do you think it's going to look like? What do you think it's going to look like? Reyes, your 1. Lynn, your 2. Martinez, your 3. Waka, your 4. Weaver, Dakota, Flaherty. I don't know. And what about this present situation right now? What do you think? Derek Gould was with us yesterday, and we talked about this issue for the Cardinals. How one bat could change the lineup. Just one bat. Here's Derek on the topic.
I mean, I missed the point where the Cardinals have a backlog of middle hitters to choose from. I don't see a whole lot of guys who would bat third for a few other teams in this division. I don't see a lot of guys who would bat cleanup for other teams in this division. I don't see a lot of guys who would bat fifth for teams in this division. There isn't a guy on this team who would bat third for the Cincinnati Reds who are in last. They don't have a middle order hitter.
So, if you got that bat, and you would move Jed Jerko to, say, 5, and Yadier Molina to 6 or 7. By the way, he's batting 5th today. But you just need the monster in the middle. Just stretch out the lineup. And, I know you're probably going to do more than one move with this offseason, but one bat could really change everything. And you get a healthy Fowler, and he's going to be productive. And I think Pham is going to be fine. But one monster in right field. And I think you know who I mean. I wonder if you could do it like this. What if Colton Wong's on-base percentage this year is not an aberration and he's made the next step in his career? I wonder if you could go Carpenter 1, Wong 2, Fowler's hit with power 3, the monster at 4, and then Jerko 5, Pham 6, DeYoung 7 and Yadi 8. I know Mike Matheny would never hit Yadier Molina 8th, especially after all this is going on. All I could say is the lower Yadier Molina is in that lineup, the better you are. And you know what? He's having an okay offensive year. At least power-wise, he's got 12 home runs. It's amazing how one significant bat, could make the difference. Thoughts? Come on aboard. Lap 4. What do you think about one of the most interesting stories in sports? The Baltimore Ravens need a quarterback. Ryan Mallett, according to reports, has looked bad as the backup to the injured Joe Flacco. So the Ravens are looking around. They deny this, but the story from some is that the GM Ozzie Smith and the coach John Harbaugh want to bring in Colin Kaepernick. But the owner, Steve Biscotti, is saying no. Now, it seems like he'd make some sense. And it seems like he'd be better than Ryan Mallett. And it seems like the Ravens about, the Kaepernick. Well, he definitely is thinking about what's going on with Kaepernick. And do you realize that he called cops the runaway slave patrol? The city of Baltimore has had some serious cop issues with the Freddie Gray incident. Is the owner being careful? Is he being smart? Is he being dumb? Is he not thinking about the best interest of his football team? I don't know. I think that if Jim Harbaugh really believes that Kaepernick can help his brother and not be a distraction and be a good teammate and be a good player, I think I'd go for it. He's better than Ryan Mallett. He's better than RG3. But I could see how, especially in the city of Baltimore, you'd have to, move slowly on this and carefully on this. Remember this, on his Twitter account, he tweeted out this about police officers. You can't ignore your history and always remember who they are. And he posted that with 2 police badges in June. You see, I think that's really off base. I think there's plenty of bad cops, but as a whole, the men in blue are good people who protect our lives every day. And I hate it when one man wants to portray police officers like that. Thoughts on this? What would you do if you were the Baltimore Ravens? My gut is I would do it. And I don't think there'd be any problems. But I can understand their hesitation. All right, lap 5. So Michael Jordan is on record now as saying, in terms of the all-time rankings of players, he would take Kobe over LeBron. And he says it's the math. 5 rings beats 3 rings. Now, LeBron has been to 8 finals, 7 in a row, but he's 3-5 in the finals. Now, the all-time team that I've put together, and I try to go by position, Magic at the point, Michael at the shooting guard, Larry and LeBron at the forwards, and, I know neither is technically a power forward, but Larry rebounded well, so does LeBron. And then one of the big 3, Russell, Wilt, or Kareem. Best player ever, though, when we talk about this, I think I'd go Jordan 1, and I think I'd go LeBron 2. I think LeBron can dominate games like Kobe, but he can facilitate games like Magic, too. I think LeBron is a better passer, a better rebounder, and a better athlete than Kobe. Kobe's a better shooter. And I know you could probably say, well, Kobe's a more ruthless competitor. And I don't know if I could argue that, but can you really question LeBron's heart and will to win? Let me say this. If you put Kobe in his prime on that Cavs team last year, they're not beating Golden State. No, they're not. And if you put Kobe on that LeBron team when Larry Hughes was a teammate and he didn't have much and they still got him the finals? They're not winning the NBA championship like that. So starting a franchise, and let's keep the centers out of this because you could probably make a case for the three centers, being your top three picks. But if we keep the centers out of this, I think I'd go Michael 1, LeBron 2, Larry 3, Magic 4, and then Kobe 5. And please, to our younger audience, don't tell me Larry doesn't belong. Because if you do, that means two things about yourself. You're under 20 and you don't know the game. All right, lap 6. Stream of consciousness. There was once a movie. It came out in 1970 with Jack Lemmon. It was such a great movie that they made a remake, I believe in 1999, with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn. And it was about a miserable trip to New York where everything that could go wrong in this vacation did go wrong. Let's take a listen to the great Jack Lemmon.
Excuse me. You don't understand. I've only got 20 minutes to catch a train. You people seem to have lost my bags.
A large brown one and a small gray one.
Yeah, well, you don't have to describe them, dear. We got the clean checks.
What do they look like?
A large brown one and a small gray one. Could you hurry, please? We've only got 20 minutes.
You don't see them here?
Well, of course we don't see them here. Why would we ask you if we saw them here?
All right, Mr. How can I help you get excited?
Yeah, well, it's not going to hurt you. Look, what's the difference if I get excited as long as I get my bag?
This man is trying to help George.
He's helping me not get excited. He's not helping me get my bag. Well, we're going to miss the train.
Can I see your claim checks?
It's a large brown one and a small gray one.
You should have carried a little one.
There's 2 bags.
That's right. 2 bags, both lost.
A large brown one and a small gray one.
And you didn't see him come out?
I wasn't here. My wife didn't see him come out.
I didn't see them come out.
No, I don't see him here.
Well, I can see you don't see them. Is there somebody else that I can talk to?
Tried, lost, and found.
Well, not yet. We just found out they were
Will you
lost.
let me handle this? How could we? We just found out they were lost.
All I can suggest is lost and found.
Well, then what are you doing looking at my claim checks? Why didn't you just say try lost and found instead of read my claim checks?
He's trying to help
He
George.
wasn't helping. He was just reading.
The whole movie is Jack Lemmon being as pissed off as possible. Okay? So I bring this up because and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They're up in the air and they think they're about to land in LaGuardia. And the pilot says, we have weather issues in LaGuardia. And I tell you, I looked at the weather. I don't know. I didn't see it, but you got to be careful. So their flight was diverted to Buffalo. And so they land in Buffalo, which is about 7 hours away from where they need to be the next morning and be on the field. The weather canceled all the flights from Buffalo to New York that night. And then the next morning, all the flights are overbooked and they couldn't get on. So I suggest, what about a rental car? You could drive there. I know it would be hell driving that far to get there, but you got to do it. So they go to rent a car and there's no rental cars. You had to have a reservation. There wasn't one rental car. Sold out without a reservation. All flights canceled. Overbooked for today. And then so we said to this baseball showcase, because they have another day, could we get in the following day if we got there a day later? And they said, no, we're overbooked. I really believe that it's God's way of telling us, and Dom's going to make another visit on Tuesday to school, that that's the school he should go to. I believe that God closes doors, and he just closed that door to participate in front of those schools up there. All right. We were talking about the greatest of all time. And in football, I often ask this to people who've played in the league. And anytime I ask Bill Curry, who played with Bart Starr, and played with John Unitas, because I don't have Bart Starr in my top 5, he always says Bart Starr should be in your top 5. He played in 5 championship games, and he won 5 championship games. But he doesn't make my top 5. Tom Brady is 1. Joe Montana is 2. Peyton Manning is 3. John Unitas is 4. And I have Elway at 5, although Steve Young is really, really good. But the reason I bring this up is Bart Starr was supposed to be dying. He's 83 years old. His quality of life was horrendous. And I read a report yesterday that Bart Starr at age 83 is making a great comeback and is communicating and doing extremely well. So it's an unbelievable story. You think at that age, when you have what he's gone through, all the medical procedures, the stroke and everything, and Bart Starr is back. Unbelievable story. All right. One final thought. Can I say this? During the course of a baseball season, Danny Mack has more partners than Larry King had wives. And you know what I'm amazed at Dan McLaughlin? He's just outstanding at mixing with all of them. I mean, he's got to be a little different with Al than he is with Ricky. He's got to be a little different with Ricky than he is with Jim Edmonds. A little bit different with Jim than he is with Tim. Dan McLaughlin does a great job every night, and there's a reason, in addition to the Cardinals being very compelling, why their ratings are so good. All right, so those are some of my thoughts. Let's hear some of yours now. Yadier Molina, locking in. Luke Weaver, the kid can pitch, and what do you think that rotation could look like next year? Derek Gould talking about bringing in that 3 or 4 hitter. LeBron better than Kobe. Who would you like to have? They're healthy in age 22 for a decade. And if you own the Ravens, would you bring in Colin Kaepernick? Before we go to break, quick word about Dr. Michael Jones. I can read this fine print on this copy right now because he corrected my vision. Had trouble reading a teleprompter about 5 or 6 years ago, went in there, had that laser vision done, and 11 seconds later, my eyes were perfect. 866-260-EYES. He's a professor at SLU. He works out of Illinois, but he also sees patients in the St. Louis area. Tell them I sent you. 866-260-EYES. Phone calls and text when we come back.